How is it going, guys? Drew Peacock here, back with another video between two cars where I rant for like 30 minutes between my two cars about various car-related topics. Check out all the other videos on the channel. Anyways, today we're going to be talking about police. No, I didn't have a recent encounter with police or anything like that. I like watching people getting arrested, like when I eat my food. I don't know why. It's entertaining to watch like criminals get arrested when they're shoplifting or just being nefarious, you know? So I thought it would be a good idea to talk about police and the car scene and how it's affecting us. Now let me get out of the way really quick. If you think I'm going to be talking shit about police for 30 minutes, that's not going to happen. I respect police officers, and I think police officers deserve respect back. Now, just like anything else, car salesmen, car guys, actors, actresses, there are good and bad police officers, just like there are with anything else. That's just human nature. There are always going to be bad apples, but I don't think you should classify bad apples or the whole batch as spoiled. So let's just focus on how cars and the car scene and police officers intermingle. So I live in California, which is not a very car-friendly state. You guys know California or Commifornia or whatever people call it, Communist-fornia, you know, the worst state, which I do somewhat agree with. Police officers do not like car guys. And they have good reason and they have bad reasons, but for the most part, most cops do not like car guys. That's just how it is. Ranging from takeovers to just people being arrogant and stuck up and assholes and stuff. There's reasons why they don't. Now, if I were a police officer, I would treat every person I approach as an individual person. And I would try not to lump them together. But once again, human nature, that's just how it goes. If you pull over nothing but Edgars and G35s all day, you kind of know what to expect. Whether that's rude attitude, no insurance, no license, stolen car, you kind of know what to expect. So I understand it. But whenever I get pulled over, which is pretty rarely because I don't drive like an idiot, I always treat officers with respect. They don't just sit there dealing with idiots in loud cars all day. They deal with real shit, real problems. Different types of cases ranging from people being unalive to people unaliving themselves to people unaliving younger people. You know, like there's a lot of bad stuff that comes with being a cop. And the last thing that they need is you being upset that they're pulling you over because of some bullshit law. Whether it's modified exhaust or you're going 5 over, whatever it is, the last thing that's going to help you out is being a dickhead. There's so many clips online about people being assholes to cops and stuff. Now, again, there are exceptions. There are people, there are cops that are just dickheads right out of the gates, but still, you're not going to help yourself by being a dickhead back. So just treat them all as nice as possible. The worst thing that's going to happen is they've already made up their mind and you're going to get a ticket. The best thing that's going to happen is they're going to treat you with respect back and you might get a lesser ticket or no ticket at all. I've been pulled over for loud cars. I've been pulled over for racing. I've been pulled over for pretty much everything besides like doing donuts in an intersection because I don't do that. And every time, except for one, I've never really had like a dumb or dickhead cop. I'll talk you through every time I've been pulled over that I can remember. First time I ever got pulled over, I was in my V6 Mustang. I was on my way to pick up my ex from work. She turned out that she had a ride, or she had already taken her car or some shit. I forgot what the circumstances were. She had a ride home, so she said, "No, you don't need to wait for me. I'll meet you when I get out." I was like, "Cool." So I hooked a U-turn. I'm in my V6. I have just installed that day headers and an intake, so I'm feeling like fucking Lightning McQueen. And I gun it from a stop, you know, shift a second, it's a V6. I'm not really going all that fast. There's no way I clipped 60 miles an hour. There's no way. But I left the stoplight very aggressively. Well, there was a cop directly behind me, and he pulled my ass over and said, "What are you doing, dude? What are you doing? I was right behind you. Did you not see me?" A couple days prior, I just got the cars limo tinted. So no, I remember this so vividly. I had just got them tinted. I was I wasn't even supposed to roll down the window, but it was a cop, and I had to roll down the window. So I rolled him down, obviously. I wasn't going to tell him no. Hey, bro, I just got a legal tint. I can't roll down the window. That's not going to float with the cop. So rolled down the windows. He calls me an idiot. Says, what were you doing? And I was like, I just got done installing new car parts. I was just testing them out. He was like, nah, dude, that's not why. What were you doing? Like, why did you do that? Why did you do that? And I was being honest with him. And at the time I was not a minor. I think I was 18 or 19. But the car was under my parents' name. So they were like, let me talk to your parents. I need to talk to your parents because they're the registered owners. So they called my mom. My mom was like, oh, he said he was installing car parts and that's what he was doing? Well, that's what he was doing. That's exactly what he was doing. He was installing car parts all day. He's not lying to you. So the cop felt kind of dumb. This was right around the holiday season. He said he was going to cut me a break and just give me a speeding ticket instead of like a reckless driving ticket. And it turned out he never filed the ticket. So I think he thought I was just being an idiot. When again, I was 100%, I was at fault. But I think he thought I was being an idiot just cause. And he thought I was lying to him. And it turns out I wasn't lying to him. I was being as honest as possible. My parents backed up my story and he cut me a break. He didn't admit to cutting me a break, but he didn't file the ticket and I appreciate that from him. So that was instance numero uno of being pulled over. Instance number 2. Oh my God, that one might have been wet. Instance number 2. I was in this car. I had just picked it up and me and my buddy Daniel, who has been on my main channel a couple times, Mexican dude, longer hair, him and I went towards LA to take some photos of the car. Drove out there, we went to a very popular spot where people take photos near the riverbed and you could see the city in the background, super cool spot. Anyways, police came. We were minding our own business. They came and said, everyone needs to leave. There were a few other car guys there as well. We weren't associated with them. We were like, fuck man, like we didn't really get any photos. Let's just go down a couple streets and we could probably still see the backdrop and we'll be good to go. So we went down a couple streets, got out, took some photos. Cops pull up and they said, we asked you guys to leave. And I said, I'm sorry, man. I was just trying to take some photos. I just got this car. They didn't give a shit. They took me out, popped the hood, told me I was getting state reffed. I was being as polite as possible. I was being straightforward, just saying, hey man, this is how I bought the car. I don't know what's done to it 100%. This is it. And they just state reffed me. Nothing I could have done could have changed that. Once again, I didn't technically follow their rules. They wanted me to leave the area. I didn't leave the area. Although I wasn't doing anything dumb, I didn't listen to them. So I'm not going to blame the cops for that. Although, once again, we're just taking photos. We weren't doing anything stupid. The car wasn't even on, you know. So it is what it is. They gave me a ticket. They gave my buddy a ticket, and he was in a stock 328i. And they gave him a ticket for like loitering or something. It was something stupid. But we both got tickets. However, just like before, they didn't file the tickets. Don't know why. 2 in a row. I literally thought I was the luckiest person in the world because 2 tickets in a row, none of them got filed. I was like, dude, I might have like a glitched driver's license. None of these tickets are getting filed. So I like to believe that maybe because I was being respectful and being nice, maybe that's why he didn't file the ticket. I believe they did file my buddy's ticket though. Maybe that was racially motivated, I don't know, but his car was bone stock. He wasn't even doing shit, so I don't know. I don't want to say white privilege. We're not getting political or anything like that, but I treated the cop with respect. I don't know how my buddy did, so maybe that's why. Okay, now luck starts to wear out. After that, which one was next? I know I got pulled over. Okay, this one was next. I was leaving Irwindale Drag Strip, RIP. They just closed down. Sucks so bad because I actually wanted to start taking this car there. I tried to like 2 months ago. This car had an issue. Different story. Now it sucks that they're closed because I'll have to find another track. Anyways, went to Irwindale Drag Strip. I was sick as a dog. I took this car. It was a horrible winter evening. It was freezing. I was sick. We only got 1 pass in the car. It did bad because I had never drag raced before. I'm an idiot, didn't know what I was doing, didn't do the best. When I was leaving, everybody and their mama with their race cars is also leaving. So when everyone hops on the freeway, by nature, what do you think happens? If you guess idiots are street racing, you're correct. I was one of those idiots. We were racing literally for miles, just you know, line up, go, line up, go, line up, go, just doing roll racing. Right before the exit to go to my parents' house, I got pulled over. Actually got pulled over on the exit. So made it damn near all the way back. Got pulled over. This is all in a video. If you guys go back farther enough, you could probably find it. Got pulled over. Had the GoPro rolling and everything. Cop comes up to me and he's like, "What are you doing, dude?" And I was like, "Nothing." Even though it was clear as day what I was doing. I was trying to play him like an idiot. He was like, what are you doing? And I was like, he said, "I saw you slow down to 40 or 60 and then you guys started racing." And I was like, "Yeah, I slowed down to go the speed limit." Like, again, trying to play the cop like an idiot. Turns out cops aren't idiots. So he says, "All right, I'll be right back." Comes back, "Hey man, pop your hood." Okay, we know this rodeo. We know how this is gonna go. I pop the hood. I'm like, "Man, this is stock. It's just got a saline blower. That comes from factory like that. It's stock." And he's like, "Okay." Turns out he was a little bit of an idiot because he didn't question that. He then comes back and says, "Hey man, I'm gonna cut you a break, but be honest with me. Were you racing?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, I was racing." He was like, "All right, I appreciate your honesty, but I'm still gonna give you a speeding ticket." And he gave me a speeding ticket for whatever in the 60, and that was that. I forgot if this one actually turned out to get filed. I think this one did, but I'm not 100% sure. I might be wrong, because I remember I was on a streak where a lot of them weren't getting filed. This one might have got filed, and this might be when I hired FU Ticket to fight it, and they won or something like that. I don't know. This one I might have actually hired someone to fight for me. Regardless though, at first I was being an idiot with the cop, and then it turns out he was not an idiot and he was a nice guy. So again, if I could have kept playing an idiot with him, I think it could have got a lot worse. The story though that made me change how I treated interactions with police when I get pulled over is my buddy Eric told me a story years ago, probably before I knew him. He went out racing and he was riding passenger, big convoy of cars, maybe 10 plus cars, all went out roll racing. Just on their own thing, just a bunch of buddies, right? They got all pulled over and they got questioned asking, you know, if they were coming from some event. And they were like, you know, he was riding passenger with one of my other buddies at the time. And his other buddy was like, "Hey man, like, how do we play this? What do we do? How do we play this whole scenario? What lie do we tell him? You know, like, what do we say?" Eric said, "Bro, I don't think there's anything you could say. It's clear as day. You got caught red-handed. Like, I think we just got to be honest with them and just pray that they, you know, don't treat us like idiots, you know?" And that's what they did. Cop came up to him and said, "Hey, are you guys a part of this?" And they were like, "No." And they were like, well, you guys were all racing." And he was like, "Yeah." And then he was like, "Oh, well, we thought you were with these other guys that were racing." They cut him a fucking break. Didn't even do anything to him. So if you just treat cops and be honest with them, just admit you're an idiot, most of the time, you'll get some sort of break. But there are instances where you won't, okay? So now let's fast forward to my next instance. And this is the one instance with police that I think is a dumb instance. I didn't do anything wrong. I was just driving and I got harassed. This car used to be orange. The first day finishing it from wrapping it orange, and this is why I don't do super bright colors anymore, I got pulled over. I was literally driving home from my parents' house. I was going to my place, got pulled over while exiting the freeway. Wasn't doing anything stupid, wasn't racing, I was alone, wasn't blasting music or anything. I was just getting off the freeway at night, and I saw a cop a few driveways up, and I said, "I'm gonna chill. I see him, I'm gonna be quiet." I rolled past him. This car used to have a Pro Charger on it, so it was kind of loud, but I don't think I was doing anything wrong. Cop pulls me over. He's like, "Hey man, do you know why I'm pulling you over?" I was like, "Honestly, fucking no, I don't." He was like, "Yeah, it's for modified exhaust. Go ahead, pop your hood." I was like, "All right, cool." So pop my hood, and then he's like, "Can you get out of the car?" And his ass pats me down for no fucking reason. Don't know if it was legal or not, whatever. Pats me down, asks to search the vehicle. I'm like, "Dude, go for it. I don't do anything illegal. I don't care." Let him search the vehicle. He doesn't find jack shit. All he finds on me, ironically, is tools for wrapping. So I think I had razors, and he was like, what are these for? And I was like, I just got done wrapping the car. And then he found like squeegees on me and shit. So that's all he found on me. And then he asks me to sit on the curb. I'm like, dude, all this for a modified exhaust is kind of nuts. He's asking me about the car, like, hey man, yeah, this thing sounds pretty crazy, man. This thing sounds pretty cool. And then I think I had a YouTube sticker on at the time or something. And he was like, oh, you do YouTube? And I was like, yeah. And then he was like, oh, my brother knows like Chris Fix or something like that. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. Again, we're making small talk. I'm thinking, oh, this is going well. He's just going to write me a modified exhaust ticket and cut me a break. I'm not being rude. I didn't fucking do anything wrong. Whatever. Well, homeboy throws the book at me. State refs my ass. First day of this car getting wrapped. The state ref, however, which is weird. I've never seen this before. It didn't say that I had to remove it from the roads. My older state refs told me to stop driving the car on the public roads. This one did not, so it was weird. It didn't say it anywhere on the ticket, and that was that. Paid after your ticket, had them fight it. Didn't have to do shit except pay them, and it was gone. But that was the one instance that I was like, dude, I feel like that guy was just fucking bored or something, because I wasn't doing jack shit. I was literally driving home. I was a couple miles from my house, and I got pulled over for no fucking reason. So, not all cops are bad. Not all cops are dickheads, but on occasion, you'll just get that one that just wants to write you a ticket. And if he's going to write you a ticket, he's going to write you a ticket. The best thing you can do, though, is be polite. Let's talk about a couple more instances. I then got pulled over. I think the next time after that was in the Supra. This was another one that was dumb. Leaving an In-N-Out late at night. I was with Eric. I was with a couple other buddies before that. They all left. I was with Jake. He pulled off on his bike kind of loud. A couple other car guys pulled away kind of loud. And then I was leaving. I saw the cop. He was directly across from me at the intersection. I didn't do jack shit, leaving aggressive or anything. Saw him. He saw me. Pulled me over. Pulled over for modified exhaust. I had Montana plates, so he said he couldn't do anything about my modifications, but he still gave me a modified exhaust ticket. Which, again, don't know how that works. Don't know if they can do that, but he did. And I didn't fight this one. I just paid it because I didn't care. And the only thing that was funny about this scenario is after being pulled over and talking to some of the other cops that pulled up on the scene because they wanted to check out a Mark IV Supra, after they wrote me the exhaust ticket, they asked me to two-step it, which was crazy. I wish it was one of those nights where I was filming, because it's one of those stories that if Eric wasn't in the car, I would have nobody to validate the story, but they asked me to two-step it. I told them the car wasn't warmed up, and they said, oh, well, just, you know what, when you cross that street, go ahead and do it, because that's a different city. And I did. I gave it a little bit of a two-step, but it wasn't all that cool because it wasn't warmed up. It wasn't fully up to temp, so I didn't go crazy on it. But that was one of the weirder altercations, because why would you give me a modified exhaust ticket and then encourage me to two-step it at like midnight or 1 a.m., whenever it was? It was kind of funny. Again, if Eric wasn't there, nobody would believe the story, but you know, it happened, and that was a weird altercation. Every other altercation from this went probably better than it should have. Next time I got pulled over was the one and only time I ever got pulled over in the McLaren. And no, I guess that wasn't the next time. We'll talk about this one though, whatever. We'll talk about these out of order. I was taking Alma to work. This is back when I lived back in Downey, when I'd moved out of the Huntington Beach house, or wherever, the Westminster house. If you don't live in California, you don't live in cities anyways. I moved out of the content house because of some drama issues, and I moved back home until I can find a new spot. And while I was living there, I took Alma one morning to work in the McLaren. I wanted to drive it, and for some odd reason, whatever the reason was, she didn't take her car. On the way home, it's like 6 or 7 in the morning, I'm kind of smashing, I get off the freeway, and I pass a known spot for cops to be radaring. Well, he was radaring me. I saw him a little bit too late. He pulled out, and I immediately pulled over. Literally, he pulled out of the driveway to get right behind me, and I immediately pulled over. He didn't even light me up. I just knew. I was like, I'm cooked. I'm driving a little too fast. I think I was going 50-something in a 40. Cop pulls up to me, and he's like, hey, man, you know why I pulled you over? I was like, I have a good feeling. And then he said, yeah, for speeding. You were doing 53 43, let's say, in a 40. I was like, oh, my bad. I thought it was a 45. Still was speeding, but again. He's like, no, it's a 40 right there, up until down there. And I was like, okay, my bad. Then he was like, 1 second. He was like, you have your ID? I was like, yeah, give him my ID. And walked back. Came back to the car and was like, what year is this? And I was like, oh, it's 2012. He was like, really? I thought it was newer. And I was like, oh, I wish I couldn't. I can't afford that. And then he was like, hey, man, it's still a badass car, man. And then he said, oh, I'm gonna cut you a break. Just slow it down. I was like, no problem. Let me go. Once again, just acting cool, being chill, being honest. Cops like that. The last time I got pulled over, I was racing. And you would think that they would get me out of the car and bend me over and put my hands behind my back and arrest me and stuff. And they did arrest me, but they did it very politely. So I was racing on the freeway with a bike. I have no idea who the rider was. It was an RSV4 though, so yeah, that's all I know. But I was racing this bike, and I saw right before the race started, cops behind me. Not cops, my bad. A Charger behind me. I was just leaving a car meet though, so I didn't think too much of it. I thought, oh, this Charger thinks that he's gonna get in on this race. Too bad he ain't gonna be able to keep up. So me and this random rider, no idea who he was, on an RSV4. I think he had a Pista helmet, I'm not sure. Anyways, me and this random rider, we're lining up, and anti-lag, anti-lag, anti-lag. We go, I spin. So we line back up, and this is when I noticed the Charger. And I was like, oh, there's this Charger on my butt. And I was thinking to myself, well, I just hit anti-lag. If he wanted to pull me over, if it was a cop, he would have done it already. Well, turns out he didn't want to pull me over just yet, but he was about to. Hit the anti-lag, slingshot out, car, I think I lost, I'm not sure, I don't remember. And anyways, fuel relay got fried in the process, car went into limp mode, and the beautiful lights came on behind me. No possibility of running, and I wouldn't have anyways, but no possibility. I was forced to exit the freeway and pull over. I pulled over, the bike got away, lucky for him, and yeah, cop came up to me and was like, so, you know why I pulled you over? And I was like, yeah. He was like, all right, let me get your license and proof of insurance and registration. Passed him all that stuff. He was like, you mind stepping out of the car for me? I was like, yep. And he was like, all right, I'm going to place you under arrest for street racing. I was like, okay. Sat me down, and then he was like, well, so what was happening? Like, why'd you race? And I was like, well, you know, I was just driving home. I just got this car back up and running, which was true. And this bike pulled up on me and was like, you know, kind of like dogging me into it. And I just did something stupid. And he was like, no, I understand. He was like, okay. He's like, do you know who that was? I was like, no, I have no idea. And he was like, okay, well, yeah, we're going to impound your car. And, you know, we're going to have to wait here until that happens. I was like, okay. At that point, they let Eric out of the car as well because they were going to impound it. And then they just started chatting with us very casually, which was cool. They were like, hey, off the record, who won? And we were like, oh, I think the bike won, but shit, yeah, man, it was close, man. You know, this car's pretty quick. And he was like, yeah, like, we had to radio in to get, what's the word? We had to radio in to get permission to chase you guys because of how fast you guys pulled away, which was cool. That was a cool thing to hear. Well, I was like, really? So we'll come back to this in a second. So I want to see what time we're at. 24 minutes. Cool. Okay. We'll come back to that. Keep that in mind. They had to radio in because me and the bike left so quickly that they had to get permission to chase us because they knew it was going to be a high-speed chase if we ran. And apparently they got permission. So anyways, the cops were chatting with us. He was like, yeah, you know, he was a car guy talking about his Silvias or something, or a Silvia that his brother had or something. Anyways, tow truck comes, and the tow truck driver is kind of an idiot, smokes the shit out of my clutch, pulls it up on the thing. Eric is shitting his pants because he's like, dude, this is ridiculous. You know, I understand towing the guy. I understand towing the car, but fuck, man, having this guy do it and just destroying the car, it's bullshit. And I'm keeping my cool, of course, because I'm in handcuffs. They released me on the scene, but I have a feeling, just because they looked like they felt bad when the tow driver was smoking my shit, I have a feeling if they didn't have to radio in permission to chase the car, I think they would not have impounded the vehicle. They were so cool just chatting with them for the 15 or 20 minutes while we were waiting. It might have even been longer. It just felt like not that long. They were so cool that I genuinely think that they would not have towed the car. We still would have got a fat ticket and all that, but I think that they had to tow the vehicle based on the call, which was high excessive speed. So it goes to show once again, although it was a bad situation, they didn't take me to jail, which they very well could have. They didn't, do anything else outrageous, and they just gave me like an exhibition of speed ticket or something like that. So it wasn't all that bad. Fought that ticket, won it. Had to do like community service and stuff, which was fine. And that's kind of why I don't do like crazy street racing anymore, because just from taking the class about like how street racing is super dangerous and how, hearing stories of people losing loved ones or killing people and then going to jail, I just don't think it's super worth it, which is why I don't do it as much anymore. I'm still a car guy. I still like going fast. I will still be an idiot here and there, but I try to limit myself because I don't want to affect anyone else's life. If I'm in the middle of nowhere or it's an empty freeway, 100% I'll be an idiot. But I'm never going to weave in and out of traffic, and I'm never going to go to a takeover, and I'm never going to be an idiot in those ways. So from that, though, what I would say is, as long as you're treating police with respect, even if they don't deserve it, I do think it's just going to better your chances of not being screwed in the long run. There's bad cops and there's good cops, but I think there's much more good cops than there are bad cops. If you're pulled over by a cop on a motorbike, you're cooked. You might as well just be nice. You're getting a ticket regardless. Just, he can limit how bad he wants to screw you. So just be nice. But the way cops are affecting the car scene isn't a great thing. But I also think there's a lot more reasons for that. Like, let's look at just dumb people in general. Takeovers. Cops are just pooling car guys into takeover morons. Even though we don't want to be associated with those idiots, we're just in that group. You see one of these cars and you just assume that they're going to a takeover. It sucks because Corvettes are one of those cars too. You see C7s all the time at takeovers and C6s. So it's just one of those cars, say, not as much Mustangs, but, GM cars, Infinities, Chargers, Mopars, all that stuff. So it's not their fault that they hate car guys. It's totally not. And I don't think they hate car guys. I think they have a job to do and they need to make examples of people. And sometimes that just happens to be you, So I think ultimately, if there weren't takeover idiots, if there weren't people swimming, if there weren't people street racing on surface streets or, city roads or suburban blocks, I think cops would look at us differently. I've heard interviews, and there's clips on Instagram, I'm sure you guys have seen them, of cops talking about how street racers aren't the people that are causing all of these crazy scenarios. They say that street racers just want to be left alone. We're not doing anything super dangerous with the public and stuff like that. And it does go to show, yes, fatalities happen in all of these side events, whether it's a takeover, a sideshow, swimming, or street racing. Fatalities are just bound to happen. If you're smart, though, you can limit the risk and the danger with that. If you're a smart street racer, you will not race if there are, I don't want to say NPC cars, but normal non-racing cars around. Like when I do some roll racing, I make sure I have a left lane and a right lane clear in case I need to swerve, in case the car has an issue. Whatever the situation is, I don't want a car pulling into my lane, and if I have to pull out of my lane, I want to be safe. That's one way that I make sure that I am good. With takeovers and swimming, that's just not really possible. Takeovers are just low IQ individuals. They beat up themselves and kill themselves. That's whatever. Let them keep doing that until there's no more. Swimming is one of the dumbest things ever, and we'll probably have a whole video maybe talking about swimming, But if you don't know what swimming is, it's when people speed and swerve in and out of traffic on freeways and surface streets and just endanger everybody around them. If you think swimming is cool, you're fucking stupid. Like, you are slow in the head. You belong on a short bus. But even then, I think that would be an insult to people on a short bus. Like, I'm sorry. I think you are below them. So, yeah, I don't know. If you think swimming is cool, you're just a fucking idiot. So, it is one of those things. But, yeah, I don't think people should disrespect cops. I think cops are doing their job. I think cops are trying to keep the cities safe. No, you know, your loud car isn't endangering anyone. I don't think that. But I think with loud cars comes idiots. So, yeah, your loud car might not be endangering somebody, but the Edgars in the G35 or the people in the Mopars, you know, terrorizing the streets, I think they're pulling you over to try to get to them, you know. Sometimes they're wrong, sometimes they're right. So, just rule of thumb, treat people the way you want to be treated. That's what I try to live by. I know that's ironic because I make fun of cars and stuff, but they're just cars. I don't make fun of people, you know, so it is what it is. Anyways, don't hate cops. Cops are just doing their job. Although they're not always correct, they're just doing their best. So, yeah. If you see this, police officers, don't pull me over. I'm joking. Do what you got to do, you know. If I'm doing something stupid, pull me over. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed this little rant. Now you guys know some history about me and police and all of our interactions. I really do like this wing. If you guys haven't seen the install video of this wing, go check it out. I really like it. But yes, don't be an idiot. Treat people the way you want to be treated. Cops are just doing their jobs. Subscribe, and until next video, peace.